Today, folks, we're roasting Jim Chalmers' federal budget. And before we go into that, let's look at an interesting video that got released very early this week that is roasting his goddamn budget and his party.
1.8 million immigrants in 5 years is going to increase demand on the medical system. What about the fact that people my age can't get any housing, we can't get rentals anymore, we have no future in this country anymore? Don't you think that's kind of ridiculous? No? You can't touch me, mate, you know. Everyone my age is stressed out and we're so terrified for the next 5 to 10 years. Do you understand that? Because we don't have any place to go. This is our land, this is our country. You understand that? And those people in there are robbing us of our future. We're not going to be able to have kids. It's ridiculous.
Is it that dramatic? But I understand his sentiment. The fact that the budget, which I'll be roasting later, and I'll give you the timestamps because I actually watched through his whole speech, Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer's speech, in terms of when he was introducing the new budget, his proposal. We're going to look through the lens of property and address his concern, which is housing. Where is he going to live, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years? You know, it's our land, man. Like, you know, the foreign buyers are buying on this land. What's happening, man? We're going to look at the impact of the federal budget of 2025 on Aussie battlers like locals like him,
who are not like the other rich Chinese locals I've roasted in my previous videos who have a spare $5 million cash to splash on houses, farmland.
In today's property roast, let's dive into Jim Chalmers, all my over here.
This budget builds on the progress that we have made together. It's a plan to help with the cost of living, with 2 new tax cuts and high...
The cost of living, guys. Now, I'm not going to make you watch the whole goddamn 27 minutes video with me reacting. I've actually watched the whole thing and timestamped it. I'm going to list it over here right now. First thing first, which is basically Help to Buy scheme expansion. Let's go to 13 minutes and 48 seconds, which will be talking about that. And let's hear it out and then roast what he said.
We're expanding our Help to Buy scheme as well. This is part of our efforts to help ensure more Australians can buy a place of their own. We will update the property price and income caps so more first home buyers are eligible for the scheme. And this will help 40,000 Australians buy their first home.
40,000? Why 40,000? By the way, guys, the Victorian Help to Buy scheme, which was then ended about like a couple of months ago if you read the news. And I'm going to pull up this article over here, as you guys can see over here. Victorian Home Buyer Help to Buy scheme, which is a shared equity scheme helping first home buyers, is set to end by June 30th, 2025. Now, this begs the question, if it was so great, it was like sort of trialed in Victoria, it was so great, why did they end it? And why is old mate Chalmers introducing to the whole bloody country? Like, was it a success? I don't think so. The government owning 30% of your property, which in the process you can't renovate, and during that process when you bought that property under the scheme, you can't buy another investment property, right? You're stuck with that scheme, with that property. I would say it's a terrible idea, but let's continue listening to Mr. Old Mate Chalmers.
In the next 4 years. And the changes mean that they can access a bigger range of homes and buy one that suits them. And we're easing pressure on the housing market by banning foreign investors from...
Alright, before we go there, that is my take on, you know, his Help to Buy scheme. I don't think it would help a lot. I mean, for the 40,000 people, obviously it's income capped. You got to earn up to a certain amount of money. If you exceed that, you don't get it. There's certain property price caps. But is that really helping? Could they be better off doing something else with that money in the budget to help others buy? Maybe introducing some sort of grant rather than saying, oh man, like for you to be able to buy this goddamn property over here, I'm going to take like 30% ownership of that, right? So you own this property, but I'm holding on to it too, guys. You can't do jack with that. Anyway, let's move on and look at the Housing Australia Future Fund. Okay, we're over here.
The first 2 rounds of the $10 billion Housing Australia Future Fund are helping to build about 18,000 social and affordable homes.
Wow, 18,000 social affordable housing, right? How many homes do we need to build to catch up to the demand right now? 18,000 or maybe 180,000?
Homes for those who need them most. And lifting the cap on Housing Australia's financial liabilities to $26 billion also helps in this regard.
Now, how does that help in regard by lifting it by $26 million? So what this means is when old mate Chalmers says Housing Australia is lifting their liability cap to $26 billion, which previously was $10 billion, so they've more than doubled it at the moment. This enables Housing Australia to provide significant more loans, guarantees and finance support to develop more affordable and social housing across Australia. How they're gonna do it, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna guarantee more homes, open more spaces. Usually before it was about 35,000 spots, now they're opening it to 40,000 spots. Are they gonna give more guarantees to people, waive more mortgage insurances? That's why they're lifting the cap. A lot of stuff are in the air before the election, but that's his promise so far. And then in his speech, he talked about housing support program and infrastructure on the 13th minute over here.
That they require. Our housing support program is funding the crucial roads, water and power that these new homes need.
What?
Our national leadership is incentivising...
Okay, what does that even mean? Like, wasn't that already in place in the previous budget? Like, of course, if you have new homes, you got to have programs to support the roads and infrastructure and yada yada yada. Like, I don't think that's a significant brag, a significant flex by the treasurer over here. Anyway, let's look at the next one. He talked about on the 12th minute and 29 second investment in alternative construction methods. Now, I've probably dropped the video, or you've probably seen the video of the alternative medium of building affordable housing, which is using 3D printers, which currently exists in China and Austin, Texas. But let's listen to what he has to say about the alternative construction methods for affordable housing. Let's have a look.
...million new homes before the decade is out. This includes $54 million to accelerate the uptake of modern methods of housing construction, which is all about building more homes more quickly. It supports our work to cut red tape and reduce financial barriers to more efficient construction methods.
How?
The first two rounds of the $10 billion Housing Australia...
How is he going to do that? $54 million, is that enough? I mean, like, it costs like, what? Almost like $7 to $8 billion to build these submarines. What is $50 million compared to that? Like a drop into the ocean, right? Like, what is the $50 million used to improve housing? Like, how specific was he? Let's dig into the budget. Jumping into the Albanese government's website, it does say it here from the Minister Ed Husic, Minister for Industry and Science, and Minister Claire O'Neill for Housing and Homelessness. It does state it here, the $54 million, guys. Let's go through it. Okay, $54 million to manufacture more homes more quickly. The Albanese government will invest $49.3 million supporting state and territory governments to supercharge prefabricated. We're talking about kit homes, guys. So kit homes have existed for a long time, like modular homes, right? I've done a few loans with particularly Bank West. They do a lot of those kit homes and prefabricated homes. So they're bringing that back into popularity, right? It's saying states and territories will be offered funding to invest in local programs that grow the prefab and modular housing industry. So there were talks by Minister, what's his name? El Husic. They were planning to use factories, like massive factories, to build these homes, right? Rather than just like boutique or independent builders who basically, all want to get the highest margin for their profit, because capitalist society, they're going to use factories, maybe paid by the government, to just like modulate homes, like factory made, sausage make these homes, right? Sort of like BYD, like, how BYD is so cheap because the bloody Chinese government is pumping a lot of money into these massive factories, national owned factories, to make these cheap cars that is currently outbidding Tesla at the moment. So that's what they're planning to do. Anyway, let's continue. And it goes, additional $4.7 million investment to develop a voluntary national certification process for off-site construction to streamline approvals while ensuring high-quality standards are met. What does that even mean? We probably need more information about that. But it does say prefabricated and modular homes can be built up to 50% faster than traditionally built homes. Okay. doesn't talk about 3D printing, by the way. This investment supports progress towards the government's national target of 1.2 million homes in the next 5 years. 1.2 million homes in the next 5 years, guys. What does that goddamn look like? 1.2 million homes in the next 5 years. That's about 240,000 new homes in the next 5 years over Australia, or maybe New South Wales or Sydney, or like what? I think it's Australia-wide. So if you divide the states into just the main states of New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, and WA/SA, that's 5 states. The other states, you know, they're a bit of woo places. I'm not going to include them. No offense for those that's watching it, but you know, you guys are not that relevant. It's like 48,000 new homes. 48,000 new homes. Like, what the heck? Every year? That's not gonna, like, how many people immigrate to Australia per year? Like, this is a pretty bad plan, Mr. Albanese government, right? And together, these investments will provide the sector with regulatory certainty, create sustainable proper value stuff, right? So guys, I don't really like their budget at the moment. Like, yeah, it is helping housing, but is it an appropriate use of the money that you spent it elsewhere for submarines and fucking all this other stuff that you're proposing? I don't think you're spending enough money on housing and fixing the housing crisis, which old mate at the first part of the video was complaining about. Let's go to the next point that Mr. Chalmers talked about. He talked about on 14 minutes and 15 seconds restricting foreign buyers, right?
And we're easing pressure on the housing market by banning foreign investors from buying established homes and cracking down on foreign land banking as well. Speaker, a crucial...
Guys, this is what I've been roasting on this channel, right? Foreign buyers buying local property, which is driving up market prices, and Mr. Chalmers knows that. But the only thing is, there's a loophole. What if foreign buyers get through the PR system, through immigration, and become permanent residents, and become Australian citizens, and through however fast that process is, end up going through that avenue to buy all the property, right? Does he address that? Should there be rules against that? And now obviously I'm not saying those who are foreign people, who are from foreign countries, should not immigrate to Australia. But I'm saying, could we balance that with the locals that are actually living here at the moment?
Perfectly balanced.
Locals that I'm helping at the moment, first-time buyers, first-time investors that have been living here since day one, right? That were born here, or that came from second-generation migrants, right? What about those guys? What if those guys that don't really have rich parents, bank of mum and dad, have the federal budget thought about these people? Anyway, guys, that is my take on the federal budget by Mr. Olmate over here. I clearly are not impressed with the budget suggestions for property in Australia and how they treat property in Australia in terms of dealing with the housing crisis and the cost of living. You guys jump in the comments. What do you think about Mr. Chalmers' budget? I'd love to read all your comments. And until next time, I'll see you in the next property roast.